I was taught about if I was ungrateful, it's not okay. But later on in life, like gratitude, I learned one of the best lessons on earth around how gratitude is one of the highest frequencies that really, helps us manifest so much faster.
How important it is to express whatever emotion is alive for your child or for yourself at any given time.
And it's amazing that, all of these things that go wrong, perceived wrong in our life, actually are just stepping stones to the success that our soul so righteously desires and deserves.
What does success mean to you?
It's an internal feeling state of joy. Success is whatever I choose it to be on a daily basis, and success can grow and expand and evolve. The success that I feel or desire today will only be what I perceive to know, but that success that I desire or am living in 10 years' time will have been a calibration of 10 years of learning.
One of my absolute favorite humans in all of the world in the coaching industry, and as a woman, a leader, a mother, a wife, Tahlia Pretty is joining me today. Tahlia, welcome on for the second time. You were on the previous podcast and now here you are for the new.
Oh, thank you. What an introduction. Oh my God. Like, went humongously just then. I was like, oh, but I'm going to receive all that. And I think that's a reflection of, from the last time we spoke to today, I think I'm in such a receivership energy and we're always growing and expanding. So thank you so much. I'm soaking all of that love in and sending it right back at you.
Thank you. Thank you. We shared some notes, some conversations before, but what we'll do, right, because it's a completely new podcast, we'll get a brief on your background, your childhood, what life was like for you growing up, and then we carry on from there.
Cool. Sounds awesome.
Sound good? Epic. All right. Give us the lowdown.
Life for me growing up was amazing. I came from probably a middle class family, but I think what's important to explain is that I teach a lot around generational trauma. And my mum migrated from Ukraine when she was only 4 years old with her 7 brothers and sisters and her mum and dad. They came to Australia with nothing. And the story I know about my mum's upbringing is that really they just hustled to get here. And my mum was brought up with such a gratitude energy around everything that she got was just magnificent. It was amazing. She was so lucky to be here. And later on in life, I realized what a story that played out in my subconscious, my programming, to make me feel like I didn't have enough and I never would have enough. And I lived a reality where I definitely had enough and all of the privilege in the world. So that was my mum. And my dad. He was one of 3 sisters and him, so 4 of them. Very Australian family, but he had 3, I'd say, pale skinned sisters, and he was very tanned with an afro. And a lot of people said he looked like an Aboriginal. And he left his family as soon as he could, and kind of blazed his own trail, loved being alone, and ended up working a 9 to 5 job. And then when I was about 14, 15, he worked for himself. So his story played a big role in working for yourself around money, around security, finances, and all of these lessons played a role in my upbringing. We were so, what I see, privileged, and I was taught about if I was ungrateful, it's not okay. I have to be grateful for everything in life. So I remember times where I would just be really angry as a little girl, 13, 14, hormones running through my body. My dad would run after me and be like, Talia, you be grateful, or you don't know what you have. And I would reflect a lot on the kids at school that had so much more than what looked like I did. And they weren't getting told off by their parents to be grateful. But later on in life, gratitude, I learned one of the best lessons on earth around how gratitude is one of the highest frequencies that really, helps us manifest so much faster. So if I'm going to reflect on my childhood, it's a lot around it provided a training ground for who I am now and what I do. And there were times where it was not easy, but I now reflect and thank my parents for all the lessons that I learned, knowing that I chose them. And it's pretty cool reflecting on just the journey of life. There's so much more to that, but yeah,
Yes, of course, of course. That's incredible. And I do all of the memories from our first conversation are all flooding back. Yeah, what an upbringing you had. But one thing I just want to highlight right now, because you said that you were really angry, and can you highlight for the listener, even yourself, how important it is to express whatever emotion is alive for your child or for yourself at any given time? So did you feel like you were being suppressed into one way of thinking and being? And how would your life have improved
I
if you were
honestly
able
think
to express?
I came to Earth not wanting to be here. And
Aha.
from a very young age, I did not want to be here. I did not feel safe. I did not feel welcomed. I did not get excited by life. And it was all through school, I felt like I never fit in. And deep down, like I just didn't like myself. I didn't like life. I appeared really happy and really successful, type A personality, high achiever, A grades. I had heaps of friends, but I wasn't happy. And it wasn't until I started soul shine retreats and workshops and stepping outside, the university degree that I found the happiness that I'd been seeking for so long in my life. But the other part was that I grew up a lot of my teens not liking my mum.
Hmm.
And my mum and I are now like best friends. Like she's the best person on earth. But before I brought my baby girl into the world, which I never wanted a little girl ever, because I never wanted the child like me. And I think that is such an emotional thing to say out loud, but I've done so much healing work on understanding that my inner child needed to be loved and accepted and approved. And maybe as a little girl, I didn't get the love that I needed at the time that I needed, but I did get the best love that was available to me. Any resentment energy at my family or anything like that because they are incredible. But, we only know what we know as parents, and like my beautiful spiritual healer told me before I brought Nyla into the world, she said, Talia, she's choosing to come in at this time to learn the lessons from you, and she's here to teach you some lessons too. And I completely just love that because I think as parents, we put so much pressure on ourselves, right?
Yeah. And of course, there's no such thing as a book, what's it, a working manual. Even no matter all the things we do or the course we do or what we get from our own parents, nothing can prepare you for kids, I don't believe. Because they are ever evolving and we are ever evolving alongside them.
Totally.
So it's just about how you can be with the chaos as it moves through, or the evolution as it moves through.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, definitely.
Big changer was Chinese medicine, acupuncture. So my
Yeah.
mum took me to a lady when I was, I think, 17, and I had this really resentful energy towards my mum until then. And she said to me, "Who brought you here?" And I said, "My mum." And she said, "You thank your mum." And for 2 years, she became a mentor that took me under her wing and taught me a lot about Chinese medicine, acupuncture, spiritual healing, working with green Tara energy, and the Oponopono prayer as well for myself, which was such a pivotal part of my journey of healing.
Yeah, the up and up. Can you say that? I know it, but for the listeners, what's the prayer?
Is I love you, thank you, please forgive me, I'm sorry, in whatever order that you remember.
Yeah, yeah, I love it. Something that you said there, the love that you needed as a child. So this is what I was referring to. So they were letting you know to be grateful because you have a lot of things to be grateful for the life that you're living, but forcing that one thing on you as a child, as opposed to nurturing all of it. How did that feel for you? Or what did it drive for you moving through life?
I repelled physical touch, you know,
Hmm.
any physical touch, just felt like I couldn't receive it, even though that was the one thing that I needed as a child was a hug. I don't remember getting hugs, but like my mum would tell me that she hugged me and
Uh-huh.
I'm sure she did, but I don't have really big memories of that. And maybe it's because of the times that I needed that hug, I wasn't getting it. And I remember times when Nyla, my daughter, before the age of 1, she would scream. And for Sam and I, that was both a nervous system calibration to leaning in to hug her and love her in the way that she's screaming for when we didn't want to.
Oh, wow. Huge.
Yeah.
So what you recognize is the pattern within yourself from childhood, and your basically your family is an obstacle that you needed to move through in your parenthood
Yeah,
when you
totally.
became a mother.
The reflection I brought on in bringing Nyla intentionally into the world, and Sam and I both had an agreement that we would co-parent rather than put all the pressure on me as the mum to be everything, and that has
Uh-huh.
completely been our journey together. The yeah, I guess agreement we both made was that she's our teacher. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
wish our parents would listen to the things that we want to teach them, and we totally think they would be healthier and happier on both ends if they listened to us. But Louise Hay, the beautiful teacher, she has written the book You Can Heal Your Life, and she teaches that children choose their parents and children are the parents' teachers. So we have taken that on as a radical responsibility to the point where, we're at each other, she's screaming, and we're like, no, 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 we listen to her and we have to work
Mhm.
out what she needs and put everything else aside. And that's been a beautiful journey of yeah, growth personally. Only more love has come in from choosing that pathway.
Yeah, incredible. And to be honest, it makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's like give them whatever they want to stop them crying inside of boundaries. It's not chocolate and sweets and all the things. Like our kids fucking love treats. I swear to God, they open their eyes and they're like, Daddy, can we have treats today? I'm like, you need to eat your breakfast for starters and then get to school and then all of the things. But yeah, now it makes sense. They are our biggest teachers, in my opinion, and I love them dearly. I think it's an incredible roller coaster, and they also show us they have an uncanny way of showing us our shit. Like,
Totally.
yeah, what would you elaborate on that going?
Well, I just reflect on that, times I should be crying. The first response I found was for me to reach for food. And as a little girl, it was like, you must eat. We got brought up with my mom, and my mom's mom is Ukrainian. And, food was the most abundant resource that they had that probably made them feel so abundant. If you were either too fat or too skinny. But I found myself wanting to suppress emotion for my daughter with food, which is also what I got taught was, you can't relax. And that came from us, if we were eating, we're busy. We can't help mum with all the jobs. And growing up, we were, a family. We were asked to help all of the time. But if we were eating, we didn't have to do all the jobs and we could actually relax. So food became a tool for us to sit down and relax, which later on led to my sister and I both having eating disorders and using it as a suppressive tool in different ways, and having to really master our relationship with food and also bring that to the family when they were like, well, why are you now a vegetarian? Like, you're too skinny now. And we both realized you're too skinny or you're too fat. But I moved through that. But now I'm dealing with that program response that when she's crying, I want to just give her food. And I'm having to learn for myself a different way of parenting to nourish her nervous system and my own beyond just food. And that now looks like going outside and going for a walk, looking and touching trees, just getting in the sunshine. Yesterday we got the paints out and made an absolute mess, but it was really fun. So
Yes.
all of these things have such like a beautiful silver lining in receiving more love, but they're not easy to break through and take conscious awareness around.
Yes, huge, huge. Just with that, so can you highlight, where you recognize or how a listener can recognize that within themselves? So what the trigger might be that they can look for?
Around food or around parenting triggers?
Parenting triggers. So when you go to that automatic response. So catching yourself before that,
I would
or
say
even after that, should I say?
well, either the first one is like you probably catch yourself after, right? And then later on, you
Mhm.
call it present moment awareness, where in the present moment we can feel our body going like this, right? It's a fluttering feeling, like
Shaking.
shaking, okay? And
Yeah.
then we ask ourselves, where do we feel in our body? And it might often be the left side, okay? So on the heart space and just above the heart where it channels energy from the heart to the throat. It's a really common space that I unblock for a lot of my clients where they feel that fluttering, which then locks out their throat and they feel at the back of the neck. So if you
Hmm.
ask yourself, like, all right, I'm feeling uncomfortable. Where am I feeling in my body? What am I now doing? And then you catch yourself and you're feeding your child, like when she's probably not even hungry, but all of a sudden she's relaxed and you're like, oh, I've just bought 10 minutes of breath. I can think to myself right now. Doesn't matter what you're doing. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Just yeah, that's epic as well. But just coming back to that you spoke about, because I know your story, I just want to highlight it so everyone understands, then all the new listeners. So you had issues with food. You had I think you had body image stuff as well. Do you want to quickly elaborate on that?
Yeah, totally. So I was definitely in a binge starve cycle, and this was a lot around like not eating all day because I didn't see other girls eating at school. I was a volleyball athlete, so I was trying to get in the best teams as well. So I was over exercising through schooling for about 3 hours a day. I was programmed to the TV that I saw that, being skinny is cool and, to be skinny, you're on a diet or you don't eat. So I followed that along. And then, of course, at the end of the day, 4 o'clock when I got home from school, I was starving. So I would
Hmm.
eat everything I could see and go into the program response of relaxing on the couch instead of having to help out with jobs around the house and, not stop and relax. So food was the relaxation at the end of the day after all the hard work. And that was a cycle for me that also equaled depression, anxiety, some really dark thoughts in my mind, and a few times running to the front door saying, I want to kill myself to my dad. And he then sat me down in the office after going to the doctors and being diagnosed with depression at 16. And I said, Dad, give me the fucking pills. Like, I just want to take the antidepressant. And he said, the best thing of my life, which was Tahlia, you're not just going to pop a pill to feel better. You're going to teach yourself the way out, because when later on in life you are going for a job or you are going in a challenge of some sort, you can't just pop a pill to feel better. And I definitely learnt so much through that, with now teaching that challenge mastery and moving through challenges and home birthing my daughter and natural parenting and natural ways of living. And I call this soul shine living. So at 16, my dad taught me all about, what is a life that makes you truly shine? You create that. And you don't just pop a pill to find that bliss and that serotonin. You step outside into your soul shine list, which is 10 things that light you up from the inside out, like walking in the sun, putting your feet in the grass, seeing your friends, dancing, playing, singing, whatever it might be, but it all comes from you. So after getting diagnosed with depression, he signed me up to yoga. And of course, if I had yoga at 6 o'clock, I didn't want to binge out on food. So quickly, the programming that I had, this cycle, started changing. Just from my parents introducing me or reintroducing me to the intention of living a life that makes me shine from the inside out first.
Woo! Huge. Absolutely huge. And what a story. Say that again. You are not going to pop a pill to feel better. You are going to teach, what was it? Teach your way out?
Teach yourself the way out.
To teach yourself the way out.
Yeah, he radically held space and my mum for my journey in falling in love with life.
Like, that's incredible. That is incredible.
Yeah, coming here and choosing them as parents, right? That I said I didn't like it here. It wasn't their fault. I chose to be incarnated through my mum's body with my dad, and I came here not wanting to be here. And later on in life, I went through a big challenge, which was depression and body image and eating disorder, which might have come through the generational lines of my family, but I chose to collect all these skills along my journey of life to now go on. And I even went to uni and became a qualified school teacher, but now I'm a teacher in shine. I'm a teacher in, finding real joy for life and happiness from the inside out. And it's amazing that, all of these things that go wrong, perceived wrong in our life, actually are just stepping stones to the success that our soul so righteously desires and deserves.
You. Chat with you all day. The wisdom is deep. And it's incredible because all of that wisdom is where
Yeah, totally. From
it's,
me,
it's exactly. So it's so simple and so effective and so powerful that a lot of people overlook it. and look for the answers outside of themselves in physical, through food, through alcohol, through drugs, through distractions, through phones, and all of the things. When the reality is, all of the answers are already in here. It's like, what do you really fucking love to do? Why can't you
Yes.
do that for 10 minutes to take you out of that crazy emotion that you're in? Epic. So for you, also, this also is like your hero journey because you earlier in the podcast, you spoke about you had a master's, you were a PT, you obviously had a body image stuff. So do you want to just bring us through that chapter of your life? Yeah, go.
So after school, playing volleyball, state volleyball, loved fitness, was obsessed with fitness. My mum played volleyball for Australia as well. So a lot of that came into my story. But then, of course, I had to go to uni. My mum said, I don't care what you do, you just have to get a uni degree, which is fair enough.
Mm.
She came here with nothing. She just wanted to set us up with the best. And what she thought was the best was a uni degree. So that was fine. I went to uni, I started studying teaching and visual arts because I wanted to be an artist, and then came through with 2 degrees. Then while I was doing that, I decided to do my personal training because I wanted to do that. My soul wanted to do that, but I had to do the university degree as well, which led to an addiction with caffeine. I was having equivalent to what would be 13 cups of coffee a day. I was
Welcome.
also coaching kids at school. I had my thriving personal training business that I was later on coaching people from 6 or 5:30 a.m. until 7:30 a.m. I'd go to school and teach at a school from 8 a.m. to 3:30, and then I go back to the personal training studio from 4 p.m. until about 8 p.m. And then I'd go home, and I had this belief that sleep was a waste of time. All of this is my childhood. And yeah, I was trying to fit everything in, but yeah, I was addicted to coffee. And that was pre-workout.
That was pre-workout for you, so keeping you awake basically to do whatever you had set up for each day.
To play the role of playing my soul's purpose, which is what it really wanted to do, but also ticking the box of what my parents wanted me to do. And I was very stuck in that. While I was doing that, I then won an award as a personal trainer, changing everyday people's lives in 2015 through Fitness Australia. And then from there, my world went crazy. Like, I then got an ambassadorship with Lululemon, went teaching at Wanderlust festivals around Australia and New Zealand. I was thrown all these sponsorships from like Rebel Sport, Under Armour. I quickly became a fitness icon and put in the spotlight while I also, was still struggling with, energy, my body. All of a sudden, I was asked to have photos of me, and I also got rejected images as well. So I was being rejected, as well as successful. And there was a whole nother journey there in itself, which is probably another podcast story of its own.
On its own. But yeah, just quickly, rejected images fucking stood out for me there. What does that mean?
So when I was paid for images, let's say it's for a brand, they
Yeah.
would be like, "Hey, we'll pay you for this image." And if it wasn't perfect enough, this is my perception, like they would say, "Hey, we don't like it. Like, do it again." And that then became this reflection on me. I'm like, I'm not good enough, even though I
Aha.
absolutely am. And I was always questioning every angle of myself and every little chisel, nook, and cranny, as well as, my personal training clients coming to me to spot reduce different areas, which is just, the media's way of going, this is what's beautiful. And if you're not that
Wow.
perfect enough, we need it this way or it's the highway.
Wow. That's huge. How do you feel that affects women
It's
and young
fucked.
girls?
Young girls is just, it's disgusting. Like, I made the decision to step away from a lot of that because I was like, I can't have a baby healthily one day, which was in my goals, if I continue this pathway. And I quickly started to step outside of that. I started to talk more into natural health on Instagram. And I found that there is this programming where the media can hear you say certain words like natural, or if you show an image that is you in a bikini versus you in clothing, it won't send as many people to look or listen to those things. And with, 50,000 people on my Instagram, I quickly learned a lot around media, around what was paid for, what isn't paid for, what is viewed, what is not viewed. And I just know stuff that a lot of people don't, around the way that it doesn't matter what's going on. There is a higher power on social media that has power over all of us that we can't do anything about, except either play their game or not play their game and try and work out, how to get the success we desire in other ways. And like, this is just, it's disgusting. Like, it's literally like we are trying to do our best as parents, but there is a phone in front of the kids' hands that they can see what is and be programmed to what, the bigger vision of society wants you to be.
Huge.
They just want you to be sick, so you
Yeah.
can pay money to, yeah.
Yeah, all of the things. Yeah, yeah. Fuck your head
Exactly.
up, mental
Yeah.
health, and be a tax and law-abiding citizen that just exists as opposed to lives. What Talia is alluding to here is the algorithm. No matter what way we do life, one was with the media previously and the newspapers and the magazines and all the celebrity gossip magazines and stuff like that. Now it's social media. So even though you break out of right, you've discovered that this is not healthy for us or your body or for women or for mothers or for kids, and you swung over to another side, there's still this control and power that can go, I don't know, I'm just going to do this with the algorithm and cut you off from people seeing your content that is really beneficial for them. Is that correct?
Yeah, totally. And it made me so angry that I did a year test with myself around, makeup, buying clothes, buying things to see how I would truly feel if I took myself out of this programming. And the first little part of that was actually really challenging. I started to notice what was suppressing me from, being happy. A lot of that stuff came from outside of myself. And when I took away, the suppression of going to buy clothes, that's an addiction in itself, right? I
Yeah.
love clothes. Like, all of my cupboards were full of clothes and still are, but I give them away. Um, Very different. When for 1 year I did not buy one piece of clothing, I was like, I don't feel perfect enough because I'm not getting new things all the time, which was a suppressant to happiness.
Huge, which comes back again to the distraction piece. It
Yeah.
just shows us what our patterns are. So for you, that's huge. Why did you decide to do that?
Why?
Get yourself on that ban. Yeah.
Because I realized that I wanted to take my responsibility in what I was coaching a step further. And I'm always looking to learn and extend my learning so I can teach on more skills and teach on more ways to be happier, which means essentially embodying it first. So I realized one of my suppressants was clothing. And oh, okay, I'm going to challenge myself for, I said 6 months first, because I call these goals, that is achievable, and that felt achievable. And when it got to 6 months, it was then 12 months that I did not buy one piece of clothing. And I realized I found times where I felt challenged, where I just wanted to, I work from home and I wanted to put everything down and go to Marion, the shops closest to us, and just go and buy something to feel better about the challenge that I was going through. And when
Mm.
piece was getting taken away, I bought back so much time, so much money, so much, I had to learn how to support myself to feel that success injection that I was getting from the high of going clothes shopping.
Wow.
And before I was able to completely stop going to the shops, I would still go to the shops and just look at things to start with. And that was the first step. And the next step after that was staying home and confronting the feeling and then finding other ways to feel good within myself to then quickly go back to what I was doing and see that I was completely safe to move through the challenge. It's just some
Mm.
stupid block that I got programmed inside my brain that clothes would make me feel better. Right?
Aha. Aha.
Yeah.
And it's again, it's the biggest tool on the planet, isn't it? It's media, social media, magazines, all of the things. It's a program that is in your system, but it's on purpose. Put it that way. It's not by default, but it's on purpose. It's been programmed into us. So being okay with the emotion that you're feeling at the time you're feeling it is the challenge.
Totally.
Huge, huge. And on the other side, go ahead.
To sit with that emotion and even name it and claim it is actually something really healthy that we didn't, a lot of us get taught how to do. And I now teach something that I call disassociating from the emotion. So if we talk about anxiety, like I used to say, oh, I get really anxious when I'm in this situation, right? And we
Mhm.
can claim every time we go to step into that situation, oh, I'm going to get anxious today. And as soon as you're in it, even if you weren't, you're anxious just because you programmed yourself into the anxiety because it's the
Aha.
response. So, what I teach people to do is disassociate from whatever emotion it is, but you have to claim it first. So, I could say to you right now, hey, I am anxious. To disassociate from anxiety being a coat that I'm wearing to a coat that I'm hanging up and a coat that I'm putting in the washing machine and a coat that I'm like literally shredding up and it doesn't even exist in my closet anymore and it's like in the bin. It means that we need to allow this emotion to pass through us. So we can go from I am anxious to I am feeling anxious to anxiety is a feeling that is passing through me to putting it further and further away from us to being non-existent, to just like, oh, I just don't feel good in this moment, but I know that it's shifting to like,
Aha.
I felt really crappy before, but now I feel fine. I know it will go soon. So you're putting the emotion further and further away from yourself so that literally it's not even touching you anymore. And I think a lot of people, what they do is they go, oh, I'm feeling anxious today. And they're wearing the anxiety coat all day.
Aha.
They choose to take it off, right? We can actually do it right now.
Yeah, mate, like so good, absolutely so good. And same for depression. Yeah, you could. So what? You're disassociating from it because a lot of people claim that
Yeah.
illness or sickness and all of the things. We're saying, oh, I'm riddled with this, I'm riddled with that, and all of the things. But the more it's again, it's a program. The more you programmed it into your system, it becomes a belief. When it becomes a belief, it stays there.
Yeah, and I had generationally, I had hemorrhoids.
Uh-huh.
My sister both had hemorrhoids, and I realized that this was a program response that my nervous system was doing a locking me up, and which caused a lot of digestive issues as a child to me. But when I confronted what it was teaching me and decided to learn through it, it went away completely, like
Wow.
completely. And another
Huh.
one was had a corn on my toe. These sound really gross, but like I know everyone relates to this. Like I just don't care because I want to help people and I want them to get real with what they're going through as a lesson. The challenge is the lesson, right? On my
Uh-huh.
right side toe, I had a corn and there was a stubbornness that I needed to confront. And before I had my daughter, it went away and it never came back. After years and years of being burnt off, cut off, like everything would just keep coming back until I confronted that thing, right?
Uh-huh.
Another one is I got told when I was, I think, 17 that I couldn't have kids. I got told by the doctors that I would struggle to have kids. I can't have kids. I need to get cut open. I've got endometriosis. I've got polycystic ovaries. And at the time, I had a best friend who had endometriosis, and I would see her getting cut. She'd have surgery, sorry, like every couple times a year. And I was like, something's just not clicking to me. Okay, this is my body, this is my belief systems. Like, I know that people outside listening to this are going through their own challenges. But for me, I was just like, I don't want to get cut open. I don't need to. Something is telling me inside that this isn't going to work for me. And I
Mm-hmm.
decided to not get cut open. I went and had acupuncture on this, but I still had the belief that I'd struggle to have kids. And
Mm-hmm.
when we were trying to have Nyla, our beautiful daughter, it took us 7 months. And the moment that we fell pregnant was the moment we said yes on the phone to IVF. And I literally broke down. I let go of my one thing, which is like, no, I know my body can do this. I know I've been told I've got all this stuff, but something deep in me knows I can do this naturally. And after going to the doctors on and off for 2 years, them telling us, no, you'll need to do IVF, we fell pregnant that week. And it was just because my nervous system completely let go from the one thing that I
Uh-huh.
was trying to control. And
Huge.
after then, we found out 2 weeks later that we were pregnant. And Then I found out that I had no cysts at all on my ovaries. After being told for the past 10 plus years I had all these problems, there was zero cysts left on my ovaries. And I had over 12 on one side and 8 on the other, and there were none there left.
Uh-huh. And what would you put that down to?
Belief systems, like choosing to believe a different pathway around my body, and acupuncture.
Beautiful. Because just to come back to the anxiety and the depression that you spoke of earlier, what people don't understand is that the more you talk and program those things into your system, you can do the exact same for anything else. So if you don't like how you're feeling in that process, you can change it to whatever you want, and you can download whatever program you want to live and enjoy for the rest of
Yeah.
your life. What do you say? Am I right?
Yes, totally. I used to say I don't have enough time, and now I say to myself, I have all the time in the world.
Mm-hmm. Huge, huge. So just quickly actually, while you're on it, how important is it for women to trust in their bodies and to, who might be going through something right now, yeah, to trust in their bodies and give that love to themselves?
It's not easy.
Mm-hmm.
It's not easy. I always commend any woman that steps into the coaching space, because the first thing is, one, they've decided to invest in themselves, which
Mm-hmm.
is really, really challenging for women that are programmed to put everyone else above themselves. Generationally, a woman's role was just to birth babies and look after babies. And now in our day and age, we're taught to birth babies, look after babies, work a job, look after the husband, look after the kids, look after everything except ourselves, okay, for a
Uh-huh.
lot of women, not all. So to put themselves first is sometimes really challenging. But, I always ask them, are you happy with the path that you're walking? And they'll say no. And I said, well, if you want to walk a different path, you have to become a completely different person, right? Which means acting in a completely different way. And sometimes that is putting themselves first. But
Uh-huh.
that's the best thing that they ever did for themselves and their family and everyone around them.
Uh-huh. Huge. It also comes back to the whole programming of society. As you said, back in the day, it was a mother's or a woman's job, if you will, to birth the child, look after the child, look after the home, and the man's job to be the provider and look after everything, the
Yeah.
kingdom or the castle for the family. And now we've been sold all of this left, should I say, feminist stuff, and you can do all of the things, and now it's left women, a lot of women where they are today, not knowing themselves and leaving themselves last, and putting them into masculine industries or roles where they've come so far away from their femininity that they don't actually, the whole woman thing is like non-existent, even though they're in a woman's body. What would you say to that really quickly before we move on?
Just that we get to choose,
Mhm.
like I said, that's intention is everything. When Sam and I brought Nyla into the world, we created a contract together that said, we're here doing this together. And, if I need your help, you're there. If you need my help, we're there. We get to do it in the way that our souls want us to do this. And also Nyla's is asking us to do. And that has been the best decision ever, because it's let me let go of a lot of the, what I call mum guilt around, letting Sam play some of the role in the parenting that a lot of my friends just do it all. And here I am with a husband that is so involved, and like I feel so okay with it. And he's just frothing off time with his daughter and having a role to play.
Yes, I love that because it's similar for me. Because Saoirse was the same. I obviously do a lot of work, but she went home. She went home for her father's 70th last February, and we've got multiple businesses and a podcast and all of the things going on. And yeah, I had the kids myself for 2 weeks, almost just under 2 weeks,
Yeah.
but it was fucking incredible. You're
That's what
getting
Dad said. He just
you
had
do,
no for 2 weeks while I was on retreat. And it's like the blessing in disguise that if we didn't do this, he wouldn't know how much he froths off, just like how easy it is. Like the two of them connected. When in
uh-huh.
my head, I'm like, is she just going to be a head case for him? Is she going to lose it? Like, where's mum? No, she's fine. She's so safe. She's more safe than ever. And Dad's having the time of his life.
Yeah, because like, some love to you mothers. A mother's nervous system and a father's nervous system is completely different. You
Yeah.
guys have obviously been through the whole pregnancy and the whole thing, so there's a lot more emotional attachment. Where
Yeah.
for men, it's like she fell over, she'll be grand, she'll cry for a minute, but for mothers, like, she's nearly after dying. Fucking swoop her up off the floor. Is she still breathing? Does she need food? This, all of the things. For men, we can be standoffish a bit and still give the love and support. So, yeah, hanging out with the kids. Now, sure, she does retreats. She would be gone for weeks on end at some stage, full days on at other stages. So, for me, it's all the things that I never experienced growing up.
Totally. I think a
But
lot of it is around intention. Like our whole family was so surprised how well Nyla did with 2 weeks with me away. She's only 1.5. And I had this intention around community parenting. And that's the way that we used to do it in tribe. It was the mum, but the community was so close and the child was always looked after and cared for. And I think with that intention, like that's why Nyla was just frothing the whole time that I was gone. But if I was the kind of mum that left for 2 weeks and I was like stressed out the whole time, I bet you energetically she would have been a little shit because I am stressing and energetically tied to her. So with, I guess, wrapping up all of this that we've been talking about, it's so much is around intention and
mhm.
the lines of energy that we draw to one another. It's like right now, energetically, I'm like, Dara is like an epic human. You're like, Tahlia's a froth burger. And like, we've got this vibe going on. And anyone listening to this is just going to be like, bye, bye, bye. I can do anything I put my mind on. Like, I can heal myself, right? You're in this space where the energy and intention is there. But if we had energetic, what I call daggers at one another, where I'm like, I hate you, you're shit, like this. And energetically, while I was away from Nyla, I'm like, is she going to get fed okay? Is she going to get looked after? Is she going to be, using homeopathic drops like I do? Then, of course, on the other side of that, those people are stressed, right? And I think if we bring that energy of intention and loving intention to everything we do, including ourselves when we wake up, our whole vibration of life and what we're calling in the healing, the money, the work, the family, the career, any goal we want, it will happen with and from that place.
Mm, beautiful, beautiful. Coming around to that full circle now, speaking of life by design.
Yeah.
So, yeah, life by design. You said you had 2 degrees, and you had the soul line and you had the goal line. The soul line was PT at the time, and the goal line was for your family's intentions. So, can you speak about your journey with that, and which is obviously crossing over into life by design, and giving up your degrees? And what were they in? And tell us about that journey.
I guess I felt torn, like between, I couldn't do everything. I was exhausting myself and my health at the time. Like I was addicted to coffee to do it all, right? And when I started confronting that, I realized something had to go. And the one thing that felt safe to let go of was a big test, which was the teaching degree at a time that I was being thrown jobs. I was being headhunted for jobs, in schools all over South Australia where I live, and people thought I was crazy for saying no. And the more I said no, the more jobs I also got. And I decided the one day to let go of my degree. I decided internally I was never going back. I was going to let my teaching degree slip. And that day, my husband actually got a full, like, contract, forever job, right? And we learnt around the spiritual laws of success and how literally, like, the universe is always supporting you. And yeah, we never look back from that pathway in our relationship, and also to follow the stepping stones, even when they're scary and exciting, which meant that I then started teaching the one thing that I'd really been here to teach, which was around supporting women to step into a path that makes them shine. Which was first through personal training and then through Soul Shine workshops, which were a 3-hour workshop on a Sunday where I mentored hundreds of women that would come every Sunday, which led into the need for retreats, a 3-day retreat. And now our Bali retreat, which has just happened for the first time just 2 weeks ago, which was the best and a very fast manifestation on my end that came together in just 2 months from, yeah, seeing you to being back there. And
Yes.
here's like 12 women on retreat just out of nowhere. Like, this happened. Yeah, how cool life can be when you just follow your internal compass and follow what excites you and also is going to support the people around you, calling that in as well.
Epic. And even with that, what like there's obviously the monetary value in that, or the return. But from a soul standpoint, supporting women to achieve healing, whatever the results are they receive in your retreats, how does that make you feel?
It's life changing, like there's been a whole journey with that as well. Firstly, running retreats wasn't easy. Like that was something that got my nervous system for sure to start with. But the results that the women got, I was like, I have to keep doing this, which just called me to up level myself and collect new skills. And now I'm at the point where I'm running retreats around self healing, manifestation, and life by design, which ultimately means that you get to choose what you want to do with your life. The universe does not choose for you. That's the program response. You don't wait, sitting there. You sit there right now and you get your pen out and you write down what the hell you want for your life around 4 areas. Do you want me to tell you what they are?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, of
Yeah.
course. Everything. I'm going to come back to the spiritual laws of success as well. But
Yeah,
keep
totally.
forward. Go.
So the 4 areas, one is your health and your fitness, your goals. So what do you want for that? Like, how do you want to look? How do you want to feel? The second is your lifestyle and your relationship goals. And this is a lot around what are the relationships that you want in your life and what is the kind of lifestyle you want to live. And what I'm talking about here is like, I was manifesting going to Bali a couple times a year and I wanted to home birth my baby and I wanted a husband and 2 dogs. And that's that lifestyle. And then the third one is your personal and behavioral goals. What do you want to be known for? What is your ultimate character? We can talk around, like when people think of you, what do they think of? Okay. And I want people to think of soul shine living. I want them to think of someone smiling back at them that believes that they can achieve anything they put their mind on. So every day I step into my life as that person. And the
Mhm.
last one is your business and your career goals. So, how you want to contribute to the world and what is the legacy ultimately you want to leave?
Huge. And just the intention of that, something you said there, it's something that you live every day.
Yeah, totally. So, in what I teach, the Life by Design process, this is on retreats and through coaching, group coaching, and one on one coaching. And we go through really anchoring down your goals. What do you want for each of these areas? And there's a full process because obviously, like, if I said to someone, like, what do you want? They might be like, I haven't ever thought about this, like, choosing, like, what? And they think of it like this humongous, like, life or death situation.
Uh-huh.
There's a lot of probing, questioning, channeling your higher self, manifestation, visualization, meditation processes that we do to pull down the things that, ultimately you go to bed thinking about. Like at the end of the day and overnight, you're dreaming about things, you're in another world where it feels really peachy and really fun. We're talking about pulling all those ideas down out of the subconscious, out of your dream state, and actually into the physical plane right now. And when we get them really clearly down as tangible goals, and tangible goals are ones that we know what they look like, what they feel like when we've achieved them, we can put this into a manifesto. Tahlia Pretty is my name, Tahlia Pretty manifesto of my life. And we put this into like a 2-page document that you wake up and you read every single day until legit it becomes your reality. And I have done this document, I would say, over 10 times in the last 4 years. And everything inside it has come true, this or better. My husband,
Yes.
and legit, like next to his bed is a vision board. And I'm like, pull that down because it's like we're living that now. And this was a month ago when he was kind of like in this bit of a funk. And we realized it's just because he outdated his goals. He didn't have any goals he was working towards, right? And
Yes.
what so many people do is like literally when they're not feeling happy or depressed or anxious, it's just that, you've outdated your goals and you need some new ones. You need to get excited
Uh-huh.
about them.
Yes, yes, and that's something we spoke of before we started. We need to be excited for life. What did it
Yeah.
say? Traveling is life. What was it?
Oh my God, yeah. Travel is life. Like seeing one of my love languages is seeing the world or seeing new things. Like,
Mhm.
know that every day, if I can, make the time to go and see something new. Put something new in my eyeballs because if not,
Yes.
sometimes the eyeballs, like depression, my fondest memory of depression is actually inverted eyes. So my eyes are flipped into the back of my head inside my body, inside the belief systems that don't serve me. Like the me that is frothing on life, my eyes are outside. They are looking and soaking in all the color, all the new experiences, all the details. And this is essentially what we call flow state living. It's called being present in the moment and just being grateful for every little thing that we see that is so magnificent and beautiful when we decide to look outside ourselves into the physical reality that we are living right now.
Aha. And the eyes are the windows to the soul.
Ah,
A previous mentor of ours, Zion Kim, I heard it from him first. It's a quote: "Can you go through life without quenching your thirst for curiosity?"
totally.
Because it's in the learning brain and in that childlike state where life is fucking incredible.
Yes. And some big goals actually that recently like I have achieved. Before I achieved that goal, my long sight vision was really bad. And this was not to do with the fact that I needed glasses, like I would have been programmed to believe. It was actually that I could not see or control my future vision. I just had to fully freaking surrender to the fact that I decided this is going to happen and ride the roller coaster of learning and preserving learnings through the challenges I was facing to know that my nervous system was safe even if I couldn't see the future, even if I didn't know if it was
Yes,
gonna work out or not. And
yes.
it's so epic to like realize like once I'd stepped over this, my vision was fine again. But
Oh, wow.
wild how the body keeps score, right?
Whoa, huge. Elaborate.
Yeah, I guess like this happens for everything. You know, we can reel back to Louise Hay's book, You Can Heal Your Life. If you don't have it, go and buy it. It's literally like my Bible to life. And every challenge that I'm facing, like if there is a challenge going on, and if you ask yourself right now, where do I feel it in my body? What is going on in my body? What is that actually there to teach me rather than attached to it? Like, and decide to like take a moment to breathe with that and like learn through it, we actually might be able to get through it. But if we decide to suppress and blanket with, buying the clothes, smoking, drinking, whatever, okay, which these things are okay, okay in moderation, but longevity of that becomes longevity of problems and essentially like dis-ease in the body, dis-ease
Mhm.
of reprogramming ourselves to move through the challenges, essentially, I believe, leads to disease if we're not
Mhm.
and actually like master the challenge that is in front of us. And if we master this challenge, guess what? We're going to elevate, we're going to receive more love, more light, but guess what? We're going to reach another challenge. We're going to reach another fucking challenge. Like, how rude is life? How rude is, being on earth? But this is our school, this is our playground to actually, in this day and age, like Sam, my husband, and I always talk about like how amazing like the generation of our daughter and our daughter's daughter or son is going to be because every descendant line going on right now is just receiving more love and more light because we are mastering the challenges. So in generations to come, like we can only pray that we're going to be living this amazing life, but we can
Mhm.
right now if we choose to really radically take responsibility for how we feel.
Huge, well done, and great wisdom. And coming back to you saying your manifesto, you've written 100 of them so far.
What do you
Or
say?
sorry, your manifesto, so your vision.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, vision quest, you keep rewriting them because you obviously attained the soul goal and the goal line and the soul line. So one is the goal line, which could be the objects, which is the finances, the house, the home, the holidays, the flights, and then the soul line is, the ripple effect you create by helping other women to step into that, how it makes you feel. seeing the new places, experiencing the new flowers, or what you're seeing with your eyes for the first times. There's soul goals. So the goal line and the soul line. What would you say to somebody who has never? Because I know when I did it first, it's something that all of my clients do. It's the very first thing they do. And then the more they get aware of it, we do a bigger one later on in the program. But I know for me, it was terrifying at the start. It was with Preston and Alexi, and they asked me to write my vision. I think it was my life vision, and I was like, "What? I actually don't even." And it was like to the point of my brain was rattled. It took me nearly 4 weeks, but I had a deadline, and there was a lot of pressure that built up in that. So, what would you say to people who want to create a vision for themselves and are locked in that fear?
I would say use the barometer of what feels shit as, your
What you don't want.
what you don't want being a barometer of what you do want. Like, literally reframe it. Like, if you don't want to feel unfit, your soul is telling you to, like, get into action and get moving, and that actually your soul wants to get fit. Like, that could be a stepping stone. So start somewhere, because you know what you write down, if I said to you right now, today we're not leaving this room until you write down your whole manifesto, your first version is going to be your first V1. There is going to be a V2, V3, V4. As you start to build detail and start to step into the vision, you're going to see more and more around what you do want or you don't want. For example, I had stepped into some goals. I thought, like, my soul was like, yes, this is for you. But I stepped in. I realized, actually, you know what? That's not for me. But it helped me work out the thing that was there for me. It was just a stepping stone for me to start to understand my soul's journey and some skills that I actually needed to learn. And that was the best, most gentle way for my soul to learn that, to evolve into the next V3, V4.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, brilliant. Because that's the thing, like none of it is finite.
Yeah,
It's
totally.
a season. We're just going through a fucking whole life of seasons.
Yeah, tweak,
And
test, polish. Like, tweak, test, polish everything. If one thing doesn't work, it's like try something different, but don't do nothing. Standing still is stagnant energy, and cells are programmed to move. Life moves, so you have to move too.
mhm, change is guaranteed, isn't it? It's one of the biggest things guaranteed in life. One of the only things guaranteed in life, actually, change and death. And a lot of people like to say taxes. But here, look, so for you, there was some things that you didn't like doing in your life. What would you highlight between doing the things you love to do and at the times doing the things that you hated doing? So how your energy was when you were doing the things you were hating, and how your energy is now doing the things that you love.
The energy of things that I don't love doing is, depression, anxiety. I know those feelings really well. It's anger, it's sadness, it's grief, it doesn't just feels shit. And the things that make me shine are like me on the top of a mountain screaming, like, "Coo-ee!" And like just life, like the vibration of my body is like just off this planet, off this chart. And that's a pretty cool place to live. But the other important place is neutrality and being in the in between, in the void, and knowing that that's pretty safe to be in it as well. And if we can consistently understand the difference between what makes us froth to what makes us not feel really good, and see if we can ride this, what we call the emotional guidance scale, closer and closer to between neutrality and us standing on the top of the mountain going cooey, like we're going to
Hmm.
feel a lot more happier every single day, because I think we're also programmed to go, like, if you're not happy you're not okay. Like,
Hmm.
neutrality is fine. It's how we conserve energy, and it's a really safe space to live our life and decide what we want for our life as well.
Aha, epic. Because we like happy all the time is not really true life either, is it?
Yeah, totally. Like yesterday, I said to my husband, I'm like, I feel sad. And
Hmm.
he was like, why? And I was like, it's okay for me to feel sad. Like, and we had this
Hmm.
conversation around, like, actually, I just really want a hug right now. And he gave me a hug. And then I was like, okay, the sadness is moving. Like, thank you so much. And it was just because I wanted to be doing something else with my time. And
Hmm.
it didn't like what I was doing. And today, stepping into today, I'm like, there's a problem I need to solve. That sadness taught me that I need to do something different with that time. And today,
Mhm.
it's about putting that into inspired action and moving that energy rather than staying in the program response of the sadness, right?
Mhm. With that, right, you've just highlighted something. How important is it for us to show our children that it's okay to feel all of their emotions?
It's so important. And like, if you suppress the emotions, they're going to come out eventually in some
Mhm.
way. Ethics teach us so much around emotional release, the positive and negative of the energetic reverberation, right? The more we push that anger down, the more it's going to bottle up and explode out like a volcano. So why don't we let it trickle out? And sometimes with homeopathic drops like chamomilla, right? It's this really calming essence. A lot of mums would use it for teething. But what might happen when you dose a child or yourself with chamomilla is that you might get really sad and angry straight away after. And it's just that that level of the emotion is clearing out to create space for more of that calm,
Mm.
more of the body's neutrality to just, simmer and calm down. But in order to get to that place really quickly, like we need to release the emotion and let it out. So I cry in front of my daughter. I've yelled in front of my daughter, and like it's okay because she knows they're just emotions passing through and she's allowed to like have her own.
Uh-huh.
I don't want to be the mum that's like running into a room and closing a door because I have memories of being in my room on my own when I really just wanted a hug. And
Ah,
I didn't ask either.
yeah, yeah, I hear you. And when we were at the bridge there recently, well, when I was at it, I heard Preston and Alexi say that, the anger exercise of releasing anger, somatic anger energy from your system. They'll do that with their kids whenever they get really, really, really angry or aggressive. They'll go in and they'll set up the pillow and they go through the ceremony of anger release and they'll hit the bed or hit the pillow or whatever, but they'll do it with them.
Yes, totally. I did it 2 days ago. And this is important, right? Like uncomfortable emotions, they come up on a daily basis. 2 days
Yeah.
ago, I was
Mm.
frustrated and I said, Mummy's frustrated. I'm just going to go hit the boxing bag. And I went downstairs and got the boxing bag out and I spent 5 minutes out there hitting like the boxing bag. And like, that's a really healthy release, right? Just
Mhm.
letting it out.
Of course, of course.
So,
So So let's go is correct. What is Talia up to these days? She's obviously a mother. Nyla is 2. She just turned 2, or she's
almost 2 in March.
almost 2. There we
So
go.
fun. So I'm definitely in the era of mothering and work and soul purpose. And I'd say all of that beautiful energy came back to me post breastfeeding after she was 1. So
Uh-huh.
I've just run my first Bali retreat with 12 beautiful women. For 5 days of transformation around self healing, manifestation, and life by design. And we're doing it again in April, which I think it only has 3 or 4 spots left in April the 1st to the 5th. Next year, we'll be back in Ubud. Um,
Uh,
and then also I've just opened up the doors to the Soulshine Academy, which is a 6-month mentorship around creating a life of your design and staying accountable to that process. But really, it's all about staying accountable to mastering challenges and reprogramming the mind to that challenges are just stepping stones to success, teaching women to ask for help, teaching women to put themselves first and put their goals first, knowing that that is actually putting their family first. Because I see all the time, the women, their husbands get happier, their families get happier just from the mum putting herself first. So it's just an honor to be guiding women of all ages, I guess, to be
mm,
stepping into their soul purpose, which is awesome.
incredible. When are you coming back over to Bali? Is April the date? Are you coming anytime before then?
I'll be back in April, but pending a late January, early February retreat as well, and potentially a. See, the old me actually used to never tell my goals out loud, but now I just see them as like I own them, and I know that if I say I am, it means I'm freaking doing it. It's done. It's done.
It's
But
done. Yes,
I'm really
exactly.
now I can be like, okay, so at the moment I'm working with my Life by Design manifesto. This is the document. This is like the 150-page document we teach on retreats. But I'm rejigging my own goals, knowing that I have a family, I have my own soul codes, I have my own health goals, everything. And I'm like, how many retreats do I want to run next year? I know women will be there, but what else do I want to do? And so at the moment, I'm mapping out like, do I want to go to Hawaii? Do I want to go to Europe or Bali or Thailand? I'm also aligning with my husband's goals because he was talking about one of his goals is he would love to teach in Thailand. So we've been actually sitting down and
Mm.
going, hey, like I was feeling a bit sad and a bit angry the other day because my husband and I actually had out of aligned goals. Our timelines were out. So we sat down together yesterday and I'm like, hey, let's look at these timelines. Like, when do you want this? And when do I want this? So we can align to a timeline and make it happen. So I have committed to the April retreat. And just around a few of his goals, I'm trying to work out, well, what do we want as a family? Because this is so important. Because in the past, I have set goals that haven't come true because my husband's energy was the opposite magnet. And I was like, I'll call it cock blocking my goal. Dude, you're here to love me up and like be on my team. He's like, I do, I'm backing you. I'm like, but deep down, do you really want this? And we worked out like deep down, even if he said yes for me, if he deep down didn't want that, that energy in itself was repelling my goals because I felt it from him and I was questioning whether actually I wanted it. So with saying all of that, we're at the point now of, me coaching in manifestation where I really understand that my goals are my family's goals. And to have them on board, not just from the yes, the yes man voice, from the energetic, like, I'm here for you. I'm going to ride whatever happens with you. We've got this. I'm excited for you. From that place is like anything you want will come true. Like anything.
1,000,000%.
Yeah.
Agreed. Agreed. Two final questions for you, Talia. It's been epic chatting with you. You're a fucking legend. I can't wait till you get back over and we get to hang out again.
I know.
I'll go surfing
I'm
with Sam.
and seeing you guys in my goals, in my manifesto.
For sure, for sure. Seeing as it has come up, how important is communication in relationships/marriage?
So important, but understanding the way that each other communicate is really important. Sam and I are both manifesting generators. I have emotional authority and he has sacral authority. So what that means is that I am the communicator through my throat. He responds a lot of the time in guttural sounds like, yes, uh-huh. And we used to fight all the time because I'd be like, but tell me where you want to go. Like, do you want to go here? And he'd be like, mm-hmm. And I'm like, but really, do you want to go there? And he's like, mm-hmm. And I'm like, no, no, no. But like, where else do you want to go? And just because he wouldn't give me more words, when legit he meant a full body yes. He meant like, yeah, like that's what I want to do. We would fight all the time until I understood his way of communicating. It's not mine and explaining things. His is like, yes means yes.
Yeah.
So communication is everything, but it is different. Communication is different to every single person. And understanding the way one another communicate is the best form of communication.
Jackpot. Final question.
Yeah,
What
man.
does success mean to you?
It's an internal feeling state of joy, I think. Success is whatever I choose it to be on a daily basis, and success can grow and expand and evolve as my experience of life does, right? Because the success that I feel or desire today will only be what I perceive to know, but that success that I desire or am living in 10 years' time will have been a calibration of 10 years of learning and growing. So success is an ever-evolving state of choice.
You. Talia, thank you very much for your time. What an incredible answer. Incredible podcast. I cannot wait till this goes out to everyone. It's actually going to be out tomorrow. So thanks again.
There you go. You're welcome.
Yes, I'm looking forward to seeing you too. Enjoy your day.
Thank you. Peace.
Peace.